My name is Helen Martin. I'm 80 years old, and I need to tell you something I wish I had fully understood much earlier. Not at 80, not at 66 when I retired, but maybe at 55, maybe even younger. I spent too many years doing things that looked responsible on the outside, but were wearing me down on the inside. I worried about people's opinions. I carried mistakes long after the moment had passed. I let difficult people take up space in my mind. I expected too much from others, too much from myself, and I kept moving as if being busy meant I was living well. It didn't. It meant I was tired. It meant I was distracted. It meant I was giving away peace I had worked very hard to earn. You see, retirement did not magically make me wise. It simply gave me enough quiet to notice what had been hurting me for years. And once I noticed it, I started stopping. One habit at a time, one burden at a time, one false responsibility at a time. What changed my life was not only what I started doing, it was what I finally stopped doing. Let me explain. I stopped worrying about what other people think of me. Honestly, that one sounds simple when you say it fast, but it took me decades to live it. I grew up in a world where people always had something to say. I was too ambitious for some people, too quiet for others, too direct for one group, too dressed up for another. Later, when I made money, people changed their opinions again. Some admired me, some resented me. Some acted sweet to my face and judged me the minute I left the room. And here's what I didn't understand then. I could behave perfectly and still be misunderstood. I could be generous and still be called cold. I could be disciplined and still be called controlling. None of that was really about me. It was about what other people needed to see when they looked at me. I learned that in business first. I would walk into meetings prepared, calm, ready to solve a problem, and I could still feel somebody decide who I was before I opened my mouth. I could not fix that with better manners or prettier clothes or softer words. I could only decide whether I was going to let it live in my head after I left. For a long time I did let it live there. I replayed conversations. I questioned myself. I wondered if I should have smiled more, spoken less, explained differently. Then one day I got tired of paying that price. I told myself something plain. I am not going to renovate my soul so strangers can feel comfortable. That was a turning point for me. You see, different people will always hold different versions of me. My clients knew one version. My children knew another. My closest friends knew the truth better than anybody. So why would I hand the loudest people the power to define me? I stopped, and that gave me room to breathe. I also noticed this in smaller places, church circles, charity events, family gatherings. I could walk into the same room and be praised by one person, questioned by another, and quietly watched by a third. I wanted one clean answer about who I was in other people's eyes. But there is no clean answer. We all meet each other through memory, jealousy, admiration, fear, and habit. Once I accepted that, I got calmer. I did not have to keep proving my goodness to people committed to misunderstanding me anyway. That was a relief I cannot even tell you. I also stopped dragging my past mistakes behind me like luggage. I made mistakes. I made financial mistakes. I made parenting mistakes. I said things in anger that I wish I had not said. I trusted people I should not have trusted. I doubted people who had earned better from me. I even made fear-based decisions with money that cost me dearly. I didn't know it at the time, but shame was making some of those mistakes heavier than they had to be. The mistake happened once. Then I kept making it happen again by replaying it in my mind for years. That is a hard way to live. I remember one season when I could not stop thinking about a decision I had made in business. I had reacted too quickly, and it cost me money and sleep. I would wake up at night and go over every detail as if I could reopen time and choose differently. But I could not. None of us can. That was the lesson. Say you are sorry when you need to. Fix what can be fixed. Learn the lesson fully. Then release the rest. Let me explain why that matters so much in later life. If I carry every old regret into retirement, then retirement is not freedom. It is storage. It is a house full of boxes I never unpacked. I did not want that. So I began letting things go on purpose. Some things took months, some took years. But every time I truly released one, I felt lighter. You know what surprised me most? I did not become careless. I became calmer. I learned more once I stopped punishing myself and started paying attention. One of the hardest parts was admitting that some apologies would never come to me, and some apologies from me would never fully repair what happened. I had to accept imperfect endings. I had to accept that growth sometimes looks very quiet. It looks like refusing to tell the same sad story about myself again and again. It looks like saying, yes, I was wrong there, and yes, I am still worthy of peace now. That was not easy for me, but it was necessary. I stopped staying close to toxic people and negative people. This one was painful because not every toxic person is easy to identify at first. Some people do not scream, some people drain, some people keep little fires burning everywhere they go. Every conversation turns into gossip, complaint, blame, or tension. I had a few people like that in my life over the years. Some were in work circles, some were closer than that. And I kept telling myself I was strong enough to handle them. Maybe I was. But that was not the point. The point was that I did not need to keep handling what I could step away from. Honestly, I used to think being mature meant enduring more than necessary. I thought it meant staying polite through disrespect, absorbing tension, smoothing things over, being the stable one. And here's what I didn't understand then. Walking away is not weakness. It is wisdom. I do not have to attend every argument I am invited to. I do not have to stand there and let somebody chip at my peace because they are having a bad year or a bad life. If somebody speaks to me without respect, I can leave. If a room feels heavy every time I enter it, I can spend less time in that room. If family drama starts rising, I can step back without hating anybody. That took courage from me. Family can make this very hard. History can make it very hard. But peace matters. My mental health matters. My body feels the difference when I refuse chaos. My shoulders loosen. My sleep improves. My mind gets quieter. That is not selfish. That is healthy. I can still remember dinners where I said almost nothing because I could feel tension sliding across the table. I would go home worn out, not because anybody hit me or yelled at me, but because I had spent hours bracing. That kind of stress counts. It adds up. It sits in the body. So I started leaving earlier. I started saying less. I started choosing smaller doses of certain people. And honestly, some relationships changed for the better once I stopped rewarding bad behavior with endless access to me. I stopped expecting people to behave the way I behave. That change saved me a lot of frustration. I am organized. I value time. I like clarity. If I say I will be somewhere, I am there. If I make a commitment, I take it seriously. So for many years, I looked at other people through that same lens and thought, well, surely they will do the same. Many times they did not, and I kept getting irritated as if my standards were universal law. They are not. They are my standards. Let me explain what I mean. Some people are late all the time. I do not like it. I probably never will. Some people are vague. Some overpromise. Some avoid hard conversations. Some live emotionally from one hour to the next. I am not saying I approve of all that. I am saying I had to stop being shocked by it. You see, when I expect everybody to operate exactly as I do, I set myself up to be angry over and over. That anger is expensive. It takes energy. So I learned to lower my expectations without lowering my values. That is an important difference. I can still value honesty, timeliness, and respect. But I do not need to keep being stunned when other people fall short of my preferred way. I plan accordingly. I notice patterns. I protect my time. And I stop acting like disappointment is a mystery every single time. This helped me with friendships, too. I used to think closeness meant similarity. Now I know closeness can also mean understanding. I can care about somebody deeply and still know they are not dependable in certain ways. That is not cruelty. That is clarity. Once I learned that, I stopped handing fragile people heavy jobs in my life. I chose the right person for the right role, and life got smoother. I stopped setting goals that sounded impressive but did not fit my life. When I was younger, I had big goals because I needed them. I wanted financial safety. I wanted property. I wanted to build something real. Big goals served me then. But later, especially in retirement, I had to relearn what a good goal looks like. A good goal is not always a grand one. A good goal is an honest one, a reachable one, a meaningful one. I used to think I always needed a large target to stay motivated. But sometimes the most life-giving goal is small. Practice a song until I can play it well. Walk 3 times a week. Finish a book and remember what I read. Call my granddaughter on Sunday and really listen. Get to the appointment without rushing. Keep the garden alive through the season. These goals sound ordinary, but ordinary goals build a beautiful life. I didn't know it at the time, but I was still measuring retirement with the ruler I used in my working years. That ruler was wrong for this season. Retirement is not only about expansion. Sometimes it is about attention. Sometimes it is about choosing goals that leave me satisfied instead of exhausted. Honestly, that shift helped me enjoy my days more than any large, dramatic plan ever did. And there is another part to this. Unrealistic goals can quietly make a good life feel like a failure. If I tell myself I should be doing more, seeing more, producing more, achieving more every single year, then I will miss what is already in my hands. I will miss breakfast with my husband. I will miss a calm afternoon. I will miss my own gratitude. I do not want a life that is always leaning past itself. I want one I can actually live while I am in it. I stopped trying to stay busy all the time. This was one of the biggest changes for me because I come from a working family, and in my mind, being busy was connected to being useful. If I was resting, part of me felt lazy. If I had empty space in the day, part of me thought I should fill it. That mindset followed me into retirement. I would stack too much into one day, then sit down in the evening feeling worn out, wondering why freedom felt so much like pressure. You know what surprised me most? I had spent years earning time, and then treating time like an enemy I had to conquer. That made no sense. Let me explain. There is a difference between having a full life and having an overcrowded life. I still like structure. I still like movement. I still like to get things done. But I no longer need every day to prove something. I can take a walk and let that be enough. I can sit on the porch with tea and not call it wasted time. I can read for an hour without feeling guilty. I can say no to one more event, one more obligation, one more task that only exists because I am uncomfortable with stillness. I was not 30 anymore, and I did not need to live like I was trying to outrun silence. Once I stopped chasing busy, I started noticing joy again. I noticed the birds in the morning. I noticed how much better I felt when I left space between errands. I noticed that a slow lunch could reset my whole day. I noticed that rest made me kinder. When I was overscheduled, I became impatient, so I changed the pace. Not because I had given up, but because I finally understood that energy is precious. Retirement taught me that preserving energy is just as important as managing money. And finally, I stopped trying to make everybody happy. This one reaches into almost every other one. For too many years, I felt responsible for smoothing things over, showing up, saying yes, keeping everybody comfortable, making sure no one felt left out because of my choices. That is a heavy way to live. I had friends with one routine, family with another, business demands in another direction, and my own needs somewhere at the back of the line. I smiled through that more than I should have. I have a very clear example. I have friends who love early morning routines. I love them dearly, but I am not an early coffee shop woman every single day. I am simply not. For a while I felt I should adjust more often so nobody would feel disappointed. Then one morning I asked myself a simple question. Why am I building my day around guilt? That question changed me. I can love people and still not arrange my life around their preferences. I am not in charge of everybody else's happiness. They are not in charge of mine either. That truth is freeing. It does not make me cold. It makes me honest. If I miss something, I miss it. If I choose rest, I choose it. If somebody is unhappy with that, I can listen without surrendering my whole life to the complaint. Honestly, learning that at my age felt like getting part of myself back. This also changed the way I think about approval inside the family. I can give love without giving control. I can help without rescuing every situation. I can listen without taking ownership of every feeling in the room. That boundary changed my life. You see, I used to confuse love with endless availability. Now I know love can be steady and still have limits. I also had to stop treating every invitation like a test of loyalty. That was a quiet burden in my life. If I said no to lunch, no to a trip, no to one more favor, I would wonder if I had disappointed someone. Honestly, that habit made me tired before I even left the house. So I began asking myself 2 questions. Do I truly want to do this? And do I have the energy to do it well? If the answer was no, I let the no be no. No long excuse, no guilt speech, just honesty. You see, every yes costs something. It costs time, energy, attention, or rest. Once I understood that, I became more careful with my yes and more peaceful with my no. That changed my days in a very practical way. I had fewer resentments. I had more calm evenings. I felt more like myself. And let me tell you something else. The people who truly love me adjusted. They may not always agree, but they adjusted. The ones who only liked access complained the loudest. That taught me a lot. It taught me who respected me, who expected me, and who only wanted convenience from me. That lesson stayed with me, more than I expected it to. So when I tell you the best retirement advice I have is about what to stop doing, I mean it. I stopped worrying about opinions. I stopped living inside old mistakes. I stopped giving toxic people front row seats in my mind. I stopped expecting everybody to think and act like me. I stopped forcing oversized goals onto a quieter season of life. I stopped worshiping busy. And I stopped acting like other people's happiness was my daily assignment. You see, none of these changes happened in one perfect week. I had to notice, practice, fail, and try again. But they changed the quality of my life. They made me calmer. They made me clearer. They made retirement feel like something I could actually live, not just survive. And let me leave you with this. If any part of my story sounded familiar, then do not just nod and move on. Sit with it. Ask yourself what you need to stop carrying right now. Ask yourself whose voice is too loud in your life. Ask yourself whether being busy, guilty, disappointed, or stretched thin has become so normal that you forgot it was optional. If my words helped you, I would love for you to stay with me. I would love for you to leave me a comment and tell me which one of these 7 things you need to stop first. I read those comments, and they matter to me because I know I am not the only one learning these lessons late. And if you want more of these honest talks from somebody who has lived long enough to make mistakes and learn from them, then subscribe and spend a little more time with me. I have more stories to tell, and I think some of them may help you. I talk about money, time, family, mistakes, and the strange freedom that can come when we finally stop performing and start living. So please check out another one of my videos after this one if you feel like it. For now, I am calling this one done. But I hope it stays with you long after I stop talking.